If you don't understand the right KPIs to track for your sales team, then you're probably going to let a superstar salesperson go without even knowing it. Now, in this video today, I am going to talk with you about the KPI for sales and what to track. Now, I've helped thousands of coaches in the consulting and coaching space improve their sales and build sales teams to 7, 8, and even 9 figures. And today in this video, I'm going to help you know exactly what metrics you need to pay attention to in your business. Now, if you like this content, make sure to subscribe so you get notified by the little notification bell in the corner. Like this video if you find it useful, and of course, comment below if you have any questions or thoughts on the content that we put out today. All right, let's talk about KPI for sales, and today we're going to discuss metrics that matter. Now, there's 2 types of metrics that you need to pay attention to. There are leading indicators and there are lagging indicators. Now, most people get really excited about their lagging indicators. They're looking at close rate when it comes to their sales team, because if the sales team's not closing, if they don't have a high close rate, then obviously there's a problem. And the worst part is if you're in a high-ticket coaching business and you spend money to get the prospect on the phone, whatever your acquisition cost is going to go up by quite a lot if that close rate is very low. So that's one of your lagging indicators. But the reality is that the leading indicator is, are they doing the call right? Because if you have a team of salespeople and a specific salesperson is doing the call right, but they don't have a high close rate, then we have to wonder why. Is there a problem with the marketing? Are the leads actually good? Are they talking to good prospects? The reality is, even if your best closer closes at 40%, that does mean that out of every 20 calls they take, that does mean that they are going to talk to 12 people out of those 20 that aren't going to close. And sometimes, in fact, quite often, those numbers come up in clumps. And so if you have a salesperson who's doing everything right on the phones, even if they're not closing at the rate that you expect, as the sample size gets bigger, you'll almost always see that that salesperson's close rate improves. So the leading indicator is, are they doing the close? Are they doing the call right? Are they closing the right way? So that's the leading indicator we want to pay attention to first, and then the lagging indicators we want to look at second. If they're doing all of those things right, then we want to let the sample size get bigger before we make decisions based on the lagging indicator. But once the sample size gets bigger, if they're still not closing, then there is some other problem. And a lot of times it's belief, because slight dips in belief and conviction about your offer means that there is going to be almost an energetic reason why that sale doesn't close. So we want to pay attention first to the leading indicator. So let's kind of go over, what does it sound like for a salesperson to do the call right? What are the things that we want to be looking for? Well, the first thing that we want to be looking for is, are they uncovering the specific problem that the prospect has? Now, there's the problem that the prospect thinks they have, and then there's the problem that they actually have. And oftentimes in sales, we have to sell them what they want and then give them what they need to get the result. And that's very true in most coaching programs when it comes to sales. But we need to look at, is the salesperson actually uncovering the problem? Okay, so that's the first thing we want to know. Then the second thing we want to know is, are they uncovering the cost or the consequence of that problem in the prospect's business or in their life, right? How is it actually affecting all the areas of their life? How is it affecting their health, their relationships? How is it affecting their stress levels, their finances, their cash flow in the business, right? We need to understand what it's going to cost if they don't take action and make an investment and change this in their own life or in their business. We need to really know, is the salesperson gauging their urgency? So that's the third thing, is, are they gauging their urgency to actually buy? Is this a problem that they want to solve urgently? Because if they don't want to solve it urgently, especially when it comes to a coaching model, right, then they're not going to take action. And there's nothing less fun than having people in your coaching program who you know could get the result, but aren't taking action, aren't doing the work to get the result. So you want to make sure that there's a sense of urgency. So far, the 3 things that we're looking for when we're looking at those leading indicators for a salesperson is close rate, is their lagging indicator. So we want to start with the leading indicator, which is uncovering the problem. Are they actually understanding the cost and consequence? What's the urgency for the prospect? From there, we actually want to make sure that we understand the prospect's doubts, okay? When the person shows up to the phone, they've got doubts about their ability to solve the problem on their own. That's the reason that they are having the sales call in the first place, right? They know they need to solve this problem, and they've got doubts about their ability to solve it. So we want to ask, like, what is your plan? Do you believe that you can solve this on your own without the help of someone to guide you through the process? Why haven't you already gotten the result yet? So these are the kinds of things that a salesperson should be asking on the phone to gauge that doubt piece. Then we want to qualify the prospect. Now, I'm kind of going over the sales process here, and we're going to get more into the KPIs for those lagging indicators in a minute. But again, if they aren't doing these things, then of course those lagging indicators, those KPIs, aren't going to show up. So it's really important we start here with these leading indicators. So what we're looking at with qualifying a prospect is, do they meet the bare minimum standards to work with you? Right? A great example of this is in my business. Now, we have a couple of different offers. We help business owners improve their sales. But oftentimes, business owners come to us and they want us to build them a sales team. And we're happy to do that if they meet some bare minimum standards. Like, they have to have a marketing infrastructure. They've got to have opportunities. If we put closers on their team, right, who are ready to close, if we train them to understand the offer, and do all of that work up front, and now they're working on a commission basis to make sales for you, then there needs to be opportunities for them to close. So if you're not meeting that bare minimum standard, then you wouldn't qualify to work with us in that particular program, right? Maybe we need to work with you on improving your own sales so you have the cash flow to invest in the infrastructure, to have more leads, to build a team, okay? But if we didn't have that other offer, then when we qualify and we find out you don't have the leads, then you wouldn't be a good fit to work with us in that program. So that's the other piece that is part of those leading indicators is, are they actually qualifying? Then, are they doing a good job connecting the dots for the prospect? Are they actually doing a good job sharing how your offer, your program is going to get them specific results, going to solve the specific problems that we uncovered earlier in the call when we uncovered their problems and the cost and consequences. Now, if we're investing with you is going to help them avoid the cost and consequences of all the things they're trying to avoid, and it's going to solve the problem that they got on the phone to solve in the first place, right? And it's going to rid them of their doubts about their ability to solve it on their own because they now have a guide to show them the way. Well, then the salesperson is handling the sales call right. So now we know from a leading indicator perspective that this salesperson is doing everything right. So now we want to look at the lagging indicators. Now, even if a salesperson is doing everything right on the front end, there may be some other issues around belief, just energetically. If they don't believe in your offer, if they're afraid it's not going to get them results, if they don't feel cared for by you as a business owner, I've talked about this in other videos, if they don't feel cared for by you, then they're also not going to be able to sell. And sometimes you make little mistakes in the onboarding process and bringing on a salesperson that cause that to happen. And so they might do really well in the leading indicator, and the lagging indicators may never show up. But the lagging indicators, we need to have a decent sample size before we can really know. Now, if everything's right in the leading indicators and the lagging indicators aren't showing up, then we want to go back and figure out what's going on with that salesperson. Is there a lack of belief? Is there a lack of understanding of the product? Is there something wrong? But most of the time, you're going to hear that if you're reviewing their calls, you're going to hear that they're missing stuff on the calls. They're not asking the hard questions. And oftentimes when you dig in, it's because they're afraid to sound salesy. There's a lack of conviction, usually because there's a lack of belief or something in your offer. So now when it comes to KPI for sales, it's really important that we also have some hardcore metrics and numbers that we track. You can't run a business and you can't run a sales team without knowing your numbers. So let's talk a little bit about KPI for your sales team when it comes to the lagging indicators. The number one is obviously close rate, okay? And look, bare minimum close rate for cold traffic leads is 20%. That's what's going to make a profitable business in the coaching space. If you've got paid traffic to some sort of free training, to a strategy session, with an application in there, A 20% close rate is kind of the bare minimum. Now, salesperson may come out the gate at 10 or 12%, right? As they get more product knowledge, as they understand who's showing up on the phone, as that care from you as the business owner comes and shows them and helps build their belief, as more testimonials and as they make sales and they see people get results, it will go up. But very quickly, we want to see salespeople up above 20%, and a good salesperson on your team should be doing 30 to 40%. Now, this all depends on how many of the qualified apps you have, how many apps you canceled, how many you let through that aren't as qualified, right? So all these numbers are going to make a difference. If the ability to close at least 20% or more of the leads doesn't exist for the salesperson, they're not going to stick around. And frankly, they're not going to sell well for long, because think about it. If you're only able to close 10% of your leads, even if that's profitable for you as a business owner, that means for every 100 people that a salesperson talks to, 10 are going to close. Now salespeople are used to rejection. That's part of the game. But imagine for every 100 people you talk to, 90 people saying, absolutely not the right fit, they don't have any money, whatever it is. If your numbers are anywhere below 20% and the salesperson's doing everything right, or if your numbers as the business owner are below 20%, then there's something wrong in your marketing. There's something wrong in your qualifying process, and you need to get rid of the less qualified people and talk to more qualified people. And there's lots of different ways to do that through the application. You can bring on paid setters, and we can work with you on all of those different things. But right now we're just talking about KPI for sales. So we want to be shooting for a minimum of 20%, and a good salesperson who's really rocking and rolling on a good team with good quality apps should be closing 30 to 40%. We also want to be paying attention to offer rate, right? Here's a real good indicator that you've got a problem is if a large percentage of the people that your salespeople are talking to, they're not making an offer to. And so typically we want to see an offer rate on the low end, 60%. On the high end, 90 to 100% is where we want to be. And average is about 80%, right? If they're not making offers to 80% of the prospects, then again, is there a problem in who's showing up on the phone? Do we need to adjust the quality of the apps? But it also might be an indicator that they don't understand your offer as well, that the salesperson doesn't understand your offer as well, right? They might be letting people slip through the cracks who they don't think are a good fit, and they're not making an offer to them because they don't have conviction with that particular type of client that you can get them results. Because sometimes they may have conviction that, hey, if it's this person that shows up like this, I know we can get that person results. But if they're more like this avatar, right? They're slightly different, or some sort of slight difference, they don't feel as confident. Great example of this, when I first started doing high ticket sales years and years and years ago, I was really, really good at selling the people who were broke. I was really, really good at, because I was just selling a business offer that helped people make more money. I believed in the offer. And as long as the person I was talking to was willing to do the work, I knew we could get them there. So I had no problem selling people who didn't have a lot of funds, but who had some access to credit and some things, and were willing to take that risk and dive in. I helped them borrow my belief to buy. But the prospects who were already doing well and making a ton of money, well, at the time, they were much better off than I was. And I felt like they were more of a leader. I had some mindset stuff I had to work through. And so I thought, how am I supposed to lead this person who's way further ahead in their business and in their life than I am? And so I had a hard time closing those people, right? And so I actually didn't even make the offer to those people nearly as often, because I was like, oh, this person doesn't need us. They've got it figured out. But a lot of times I was actually being lied to, and that person absolutely did need us. And sometimes they would come back, talk to another salesperson on our team, and that salesperson would make the sale. So I started to realize that I wasn't making enough offers, and it was certain types of people I wasn't making offers to. So you want to pay attention to offer rate. You also want to pay attention to how your sales team rates lead quality. Now, this may or may not be true, and while it's good feedback to marketing, if you've got 4 salespeople that are rating lead quality high, and then all of a sudden they all start rating lead quality low, chances are there's a lead quality problem. But if all of your salespeople are rating lead quality high and one salesperson's rating it low, then chances are there's a mindset problem. So we want to pay attention to lead quality because it tells us either feedback to marketing, or it tells us that there might be a particular salesperson who has an issue with their mindset. And if you've only got one salesperson and they're rating everything low lead quality, then again, you want to be doing some call review to find out, is there really a lead quality issue or is there a mindset issue? And then the other thing to really pay attention to when it comes to your sales team as a metric is payment plans. If you've got a payment plan where it's paid in full, maybe it's 2-pay or 3-pay, and you've got salespeople on your team who are always leaning on that 3-pay and never selling the paid in full, there's probably a mindset problem there. Okay, so they're not even going for the paid in full option. Now, one trick here is to always have your paid in full be slightly less than the installment payments, or I should say, the installment payment should be slightly more. So if your price point is $10K, then your 2-pay should be 2 payments of $5,500 or 2 payments of $6,000. Right? Your 3-pay should be 3 payments of $4,000, something like that. So that way there's an incentive for them to pay in full. But if your sales team, you're finding that a particular salesperson has a high number of 2 or 3 pay plans and a low paid in full, what's going on there? Is there a lack of belief in the offer? Is there a lack of understanding in how to explain the payment plan? These are things that we want to pay attention to. So those are the things that you want to be looking at when you're looking at your sales team is, the close rate, the offer rate, the lead quality, the payment plan, but I also want to pay attention to your no-show rate. Because again, if you've got salespeople on your team and they're signed up for 6 calls a day and their calendar's open and 6 calls are on their calendar in the morning, and when they go to make those calls, 2 of them show up, that's going to be very demotivating for a salesperson. And if they're demotivated or they've got a lack of belief in your ability to run your business properly, then they're probably not going to do as well as they otherwise would. So that no-show rate and that offer rate are going to tell you a lot about, are going to affect their mindset quite a bit, because high no-show rate means that chances are there's something wrong in your marketing funnel that's not getting the qualified people on the phone. And offer rate is either a mindset issue or the wrong people are showing up on the phone. So those are the KPIs, those are the key metrics that you really want to pay attention to when it comes to your sales team. If you're not tracking metrics for your sales team, you want to make sure that you're doing that. After every single call, your salesperson should be filling out some sort of metric sheet. Now, if you would like some help with that, in the description box below is a link to our Facebook group. And in our Facebook group, we actually have metric sheets that you can grab and use for sales tracking and other training around topics like this that we can help you with. All right, if you found this video helpful, make sure to subscribe so you get more content like this in your inbox via the little notification bell in the corner. Of course, like this video if you found it useful, and if you know somebody else who might find it useful, please go ahead and share this video. And again, for more information on our team or to join our free Facebook group, just click the link in the box below this video.